Welcome back to a brand new devlog series, and today I'm going to start making a game all based on town building, with tower defense-esque battles and a whole lot of terrain generation. Now I'm going to take a quick second to thank you for 200 subscribers. Now let's get into the video. So the first thing we're going to want to work on is the terrain generation. Basically the idea is that to start you're just going to have a nice empty map with loads of trees, rocks and all that nature stuff. So I've got an asset pack here and I'm going to start selecting all the different nature objects that I want in the game. At some point I'll probably make it my own art, but for now this will do. So here I've made a very simple block of code. Now you'll see when I go full screen, press the green flag, it'll generate a little cube of trees. Now we can make this as big or small as we like, just by changing how much these repeat. So say we wanted it wider, we could change this to 20, and then it'll start generating wider. Now I just got to make it so it fills the whole screen, and then we got to start testing how bad the lag's going to be. So now it should pretty much fill the whole screen. But here's a little trick for you new scratchers. If you make a block, and I'm going to call it fast nature gen, run without screen refresh, and it'll give you this little block here. Pull this one to the beginning of green flag, and then take the code you want it to do instantly, and just like that, boom! Now to make this random, we don't actually need any fancy code. All we have to do is get a little special if statement. Let's say every 1 out of 3. And if I put the create clone in there, then it'll only create a clone every 1 out of 3 times. So now if I press play, instant terrain generation. And now if we tell it to switch to a random costume, we have 8, so we'll do 1 to 8. Now it looks very messy and I think I'm going to remove some of these, especially the wheat. It just looks kind of funky. And there we go, that's looking a lot better. So I got this crazy idea on how I'm going to generate maybe some rivers. The idea is that I get a sprite that kind of just glides across the screen. And just like how we generate these trees, it's going to leave a clone behind it every time it moves. So hopefully it should leave a trail of clones across the screen which will kind of look like a river. Or at least that's the plan. So I'm going to start working on that code and I'll get back to you once I got it working. So here you can see my genius idea in action. When we press play, this blue sprite creates clones all around it. It just kind of goes around the screen. And then all the trees and stuff come in, and then the trees just check if they're touching the blue stuff, then they delete themselves. And now that I got run without screen refresh, I can click the green flag and everything's made instantly. So now that we got the fun part out of the way, we're going to have to start working on some main mechanics. I want the player to be able to interact with all the trees and rocks in the game. So I want them to be able to break and harvest them. And I'm going to try and add some movement so then we can make a bigger map and you'll be able to explore it without being really zoomed out. Now I may have lied to you just then, because that isn't what I worked on a zoom. But now you can move about, zoom in and out, shake it all about. So I think first I'm going to work on the breaking trees ability. And for that I'm going to have to make a little health bar for each one of these trees, because I want each tree to at least have a bit of health so it's not like a instant destruction type thing. So I'm going to start setting up all these costumes, and then I'm going to start on the code that actually changes how much health it has left. So I've made all the necessary costumes. As you can see, it's just the exact same sprite, just with a little orange health bar going down on each one. And then this block of code here, there's probably a way more efficient way to do this, but when a clone is clicked, it checks if it's the correct costume number for it to break. But if the clone hasn't been deleted, then it'll just go to the next costume and keep on chipping away at that health bar. And now we can see that in action if we go up to one of these trees here, and then you just start clicking away. So now we can actually interact with the environment, which is pretty damn cool. So now I want to start working on the placement system. Now this is an essential part of the game, because it's going to allow us to place our buildings and actually grow and build our town. Now I've been kind of putting this off because it's going to be a lot more difficult to track, especially with the movement system. But I reckon if we just mash some already existing systems together, we'll get some sort of result that will be good enough. So I'm going to go ahead and start playing about with that. So, I lied to you again. Now, I'm not sure what number lie we're on, but instead of working on what I said I was going to, I made biomes. So I made it so the spruce trees spawned still in the green area. Because as you can see, they're kind of like dotted around the place a bit. But I want these to give a different type of wood, because that's just another resource that I can put into the whole crafting menu just to kind of expand the game's content a bit. So the spruce trees will give hardened wood, which is going to be a lot stronger than your regular wood. So I basically copied the code for the rivers, but I made it more kind of go in circles and go in loops, meaning it will cover more of a clump of an area rather than the rivers that are more kind of strung out about the place. But now I'm actually going to start working on buildings, and I'm going to have to design one. I'm not sure what style I'm going to go for, and it may be a bit out of place with the current assets that we got, but I mean, as long as I get it working, then we can always change the art later. I just want to be able to get that functionality down. Okay, so I got the basics of the placement system working. Now there are a few drawbacks and roadblocks that I hit when making the placement system. Now there's lots of tutorials online that show you how to do this grid system, and it's pretty damn easy, but what wasn't easy was working out how to make it still lock to that whilst you're moving around. But it works pretty well, works pretty flawlessly, and now we can go around and it clicks to everywhere it needs to kind of lock into. But one of the drawbacks I was talking about is that I couldn't get it to work when we zoomed out. But you'll see I've just kind of made it a feature that when you zoom out, it disables the building mode and then you can't build anymore. Which is kind of annoying because I did want you to be able to build when you went further out. But whatever, it's not the end of the world, and who knows, maybe I'll come back to it. But now we got this placement system, we can actually work on making different buildings, making them cost resources, and then finally start adding in the villagers to our game. But I think that's going to be it for this devlog. We've made a whole bunch of progress. I'm really proud of this natural terrain generation system. It's probably the best I've ever made. But thanks for watching, please subscribe and be ready for the next devlog whenever that comes out.